top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
And welcome to the Consumer Quarterback Show. Thank you so much for spending some time with us here on the program. We've got a great lineup for you today on the show. We're going to update you on Sound of Freedom. What a great movie out recently over the last few weeks. Just really performing very well up against Hollywood, some of their proverbial breadwinners there. We're going to talk about Sound of Freedom and the whole movement that's been created there. Very, very interesting topic for on human trafficking. If you haven't seen that movie, definitely recommend you go see it. We got CPA Dwayne Bischoff coming on the program. Talk about the Augusta Rule, 1031 exchanges, also some of the government dollars that may be available for those out there. The PPP loans, some of these different programs are still there's options on those. We're going to update from the CPA on the team, Dwayne Bischoff. Also, Sam Mckeown, executive coach. He's a business coach, executive coach, Alive and at Peace Coaching. Sam is in studio with us. We got top five tips for business owners looking to be successful. To be successful in business. What are the top 5 according to Sam Mckeown? We're going to talk with him here in just a moment. Before we do, we always like to feature our real estate listings live on air. We got a strategy here to help sellers maximize the exposure and the profit on the sale of their real estate. So this is the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty, Libby and Coastal Elite as well. We got a new listing on the beach, 861 Mandalay Avenue, Clearwater Beach, north side of Clearwater Beach. You're over there with some celebrities like Hulk Hogan and several others on that north side of the beach. You're literally 200 steps from the sugar sand beaches, dolphin-filled waters of the Gulf of Mexico. Beautiful property, 861 Mandalay Avenue in Clearwater. 2 bedrooms, 2 bath, completely renovated, quartz countertops, stainless steel appliances, a beautiful master suite, luxurious walk-in closets, built-in organizers, jetted tub, full shower. You got a pergola in the back, 900 square foot screened-in covered patio, steps from the sugar sand beaches of Clearwater Beach. 861 Mandalay Avenue in Clearwater Beach. Beautiful property from the Platinum MVP team. All right, so we have another property here on Burger Road, 3704 Burger Road. This is in Lutz. This is another mansion for sale, $2.4 million. Actually, I think we reduced down to 2.3. 3704 Burger Road. We've got a luxurious mansion here, 10 bedrooms, 12 baths, 10,000 square feet, beautiful indoor pool area, full bar, oversized deck, full tennis court, library, movie theater, sauna, 2 master suites, grand balcony, and more. 3704 Burger Road in Lutz, Florida, Hillsborough County. You can see all of our listings online at PlatinumCoastalElite.com. Check out PlatinumCoastalElite.com. All right, let's welcome in our friend and expert contributor, Sam Mckeown. Welcome in, sir.
Hey, how you doing today, Brandon?
I'm blessed and highly favored, my friend.
I feel the same way.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And, yeah, there's a lot going on in the media today.
Oh, my goodness.
Have you heard of this movie, The Sound of Freedom?
I've heard of it. I hadn't had a chance to see it yet.
Yeah, it's such a great film, and it tells a true story of a guy named Tim Ballard. He was, working for, I think it was Department of State or Homeland Security, and he ended up kind of taking a lot of it on after – he has, first of all, he's a wife. He has got 7 kids himself. So he's looking at these. I was watching another documentary that was on Prime, and he says when he goes into these different so-called, they pose as orphanages with these kids,
right.
And he says he's looking at the 5-year-old and the 7-year-old, and he says, I have a 5-year-old. I have, and he sees them in those other kids. So it's really, it's an emotional story. It's a thriller because it's well done. I mean, with the Hollywood folks that are involved, Jim Caviezel and others, and I think like Tony Robbins and the Blaze, the guy from the Blaze, Glenn Beck was part of this. The money side of it. But what a great film and what a great movement now. I believe it's turned into a movement. You see a lot on social media about it. So if you haven't seen Sound of Freedom, folks, go out there and check it out. Just what a amazing.
Well,
amazing
the thing is that you have some press that's downplaying the trafficking, the human trafficking and stuff like that, and some press that maybe overemphasize. I don't think you can overemphasize it too much because it's real. It's real, and it's happening here in Tampa Bay.
Yes,
it really truly is. And I know a few folks who are, I would say, involved from the backside that we will never see.
Right.
And they literally go in and save the kids.
Yeah.
And the women and men who are being trafficked. And you'll never see it. They don't apply for government grants. They don't apply, and there's, I think the last count, there was 27 or 28 agencies right in our area right here who are supposedly helping with the human trafficking situation. Well, okay, where are the kids they've rescued? Where are that? So
where are the results?
I get worked up about this. There's no results.
Yeah.
Right. And you just got a government grant for $100,000.
Yeah.
What have you produced?
Right. Yeah,
and so
that's how we are in business. It's like, hey, what's your numbers this month? How many deals did you close? What's your volume? And for the folks that are doing God's work, thank you, praise you,
absolutely.
Thanks so much for doing it. And for the pretenders, hey, you need to take a second look in the mirror. And I think that's one of the main tenets of the Bible is doing, using God's name, right, and then doing a false and acting like you're doing something but not doing it, right?
Not doing it. Well, and I don't want to, I want to find out if any of their names begin with M, because I don't want to be standing next to them on the day of judgment.
There you go. That's right. Sam Mckeown here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. That's a good point, Sam. And speaking of that, I want to play just a quick clip here, and then we're going to get into the top 5 tips for business owners to grow success, to grow a successful business. And this can be applied into relationships also, so it's not just for business folks. This could go in a lot of different ways, and it could be applied in many different aspects of life, not just business. But here's a clip I'm going to play. This is someone on CNN, one of their so-called analysts, talking about the kind of the naysayer against this movie, Sound of Freedom, by Jim Caviezel.
Here was what Mike Rothschild, an independent journalist who writes about conspiracy theories, had to say on CNN.
We know trafficking is real. We know it has real victims. No one is denying that. But these films are created out of moral panics. They're created out of bogus statistics. They're created out of fear. And with something like Sound of Freedom, it specifically is looking at QAnon concepts of these child trafficking rings that are run by the high-level elites, and only people like Tim Ballard and only people like Jim Caviezel, and by extension, only people like the ticket buyer can help bring these trafficking rings down.
Isn't that disgusting to hear this guy? He's saying moral panics, bogus statistics, fear, QAnon. I don't even know what QAnon is. I don't think any of my friends know who it is. I know what it serves for the left. It serves as a boogeyman for them to point to and to act like there's all these people. It's the same thing. It's a supply-demand problem in this country, like with racist, right? I don't know any racist. I don't know people that hate a certain color or hate, but there's a supply and demand problem. They want more supply, but they want more demand, right? And they're trying to.
Well, and they'll figure out a way to call us racist.
Yeah, exactly.
It just will, right? Yeah. And or entitled or whatever. Here's the thing about that clip, right? You said we know what he says. We know it's real. We know this. We know that. But is the biggest qualifier. You use that word, then everything you said prior to that is a lie.
Exactly. You're discounting everything you said when you and I use that in a sales class. I'm teaching a sales class tomorrow at our KW Market Center, and I talk about that because if you're explaining to a prospect or a client, or you're maybe here's where it comes into play. Sometimes you say, look, I agree with you, and you're trying to do the feel, felt, found. You're trying to create that rapport, and then you pull out the B word. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Replace it with and or something else. If you replace it with and, now you're still got a little bit of rapport. If you say but, it's like you just delete it.
You break all rapport.
Exactly.
That's a deal breaker.
Exactly.
So you have to consider the source.
Exactly.
Right, and that source there, as far as I'm concerned, is not reputable, not believable.
It's funny. I listen to Ted Cruz's podcast a lot, and he's getting about 1 million views per episode. And he said our podcast, one episode, beats CNN every single day. They're not even getting 1 million viewers.
Yeah, I know. And I remember when they came out. So I don't know if you were around then or not. I honestly don't know how old you are.
I'm mid-40s. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I got kids older than you. So anyway, but I remember when it came out.
Yeah.
And they actually reported news.
Exactly.
And now it's
fake news.
Fake news.
Well, and think about it. The power of Trump. Like with Trump coming out, he was the first one to really say that word, use that word, make that word mainstream. Fake news. And now almost everybody is. I see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
They're so-called journalists. Journalism is dead. And there's still some good ones out there. There's some really good ones. Especially, I love how now you have everybody with an iPhone is potentially a journalist.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So you catch somebody slipping up. They catch Mayor Pete, showing up to an event in an Escalade, pulling the bike off the back, jumping on the bike, riding around the last 100 yards. Wait, didn't you just park over here, Pete? Your transportation secretary. You parked 100 yards around a corner and you rode your bike up here.
Right. Or the climate czar getting off of the private jet. When he's traveling to a climate thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Davos, going over to the World Economic Forum in Davos. Yeah. Folks, we're talking with Sam Mckeown. He's an executive coach here, longtime friend of the program, and just a great human being here. And talking about top 5 tips for business owners. Sam, let's jump into it.
Well, the first thing, Brandon, is measurable goals. You got to know where you're going.
Yeah.
And you also have to know where you've been. But all too often, business owners say, well, I want to do $1 million this year, right? Yeah. And, okay, $1 million in what? How you want to get there? Is that your gross? Is that your net? And they don't really break it down. And it's not really measurable. I'll personally, right, I have a weight loss goal.
Yeah.
And I need, just because of the issues I had last year, right?
Yep.
And so the goal was, it's so large, and I'll never get there. So what I've done, and on the advice of a physician, is to say, okay, let's break it down in these steps. So what's the first step? What's the first step in the goal? So if you want to do $1 million, what's the first step? Maybe you got to do 10,000. Mm-hmm. Maybe you haven't done your first 1,000, but you're planning on doing $1 million. Ain't gonna work, right? And you got to see it in brand new agents all the time. I'm going to do, and okay, so have you sold anything yet?
Yeah.
So you got to get that first sale.
What's the action plan?
Yeah. So there has to be measurable goals, and one of the things to go forward on point number 2 is to stay organized.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of day planners, and Covey came out with everything, but you have to do what works for you.
Right.
I've used Covey, I've used online, I've used all sorts. You know what works best for me? Paper and pencil.
Yeah.
Right. I write it down. If I write it down, I remember it.
Yeah.
If I don't write it down, it didn't happen.
And there's something powerful where you're taking it from. I was talking to an agent this morning who was observing me and watching me make calls, and I said, look, if you write it down, if you take this script and you write it down, you're bringing it from your brain through your hand onto paper. You're actually reading it, you're writing it, and then it's coming into your body.
Right. Well, I've worked with Dr. Rip Ruperto, who is he's a master sales trainer, right? And he scripts every week. On a certain day, he scripts for like an hour or 2 hours at a time. He's been doing it for years, and he does the same thing. He takes the pen, he writes it down, and this guy he's a genius, right? And he writes everything down, and he goes back and he goes through the old scripts. Okay, this is working, this is not working.
Yeah.
And so if you don't script, and it doesn't matter what you're selling, doesn't matter what business you're in or anything, you got to have a script. You got to have, somebody comes into your restaurant. Yeah. What's the script? What do you say to them?
Yeah.
What can you do when that person walks in to get an immediate desire for reciprocity?
Yeah.
So what can you do? That guy walks in the door. What can you do to make him want to spend more money?
Right.
Right. That's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
Right?
The upsell, master the craft of the upsell. I always refer to your USP, right? Your unique selling proposition.
Yes.
What's different about me than the other 20,000 realtors out there?
Right.
That's a key too.
It is. One of the other things, too, point number 3, is to be strategic. Okay. Most folks today don't know how to strategically think. We're not teaching it in the schools. The schools are not teaching our children how to be thinkers.
Right. That's a big one.
Yeah. And so we've got to learn. It's a learned skill. You got to think strategically. You got to know what's the next step. And people say, well, you can't be so rigid. You got to be loosey-goosey. No, you can't be loosey-goosey and do well. So strategically, what are you going to do? What are you going to do today that is going to maybe wipe out something you did yesterday that wasn't successful and move you forward for tomorrow?
Let me ask you a question. It reminds me of a question. Strategy versus tactics. What's the difference? Strategy versus tactics.
So tactics is how you're going to do it. Okay. How you're going to get there. Strategy is what's the plan.
What's the overall?
What's the overall plan? What's the overall? So you have your goal.
Yep.
So what's the strategy to get to that goal? And then what are you going to do to move that strategy forward?
Right. Individual tactics are going to add
yes.
up. A, B, C. That's going to add up to the whole overall plan.
And that's going to be different for you than it is for me because of our personalities.
Right.
I'm going to go about it a little bit differently than you are. And so often people. So you're doing a sales talk, right?
Yep.
You train people, but I want to be like Brandon. Well, you're not Brandon.
Right.
You know, you have got to be like you. And so what are those strategies and tactics going to be for you?
Right.
So they got to be able to adapt what you teach them to their personalities.
I love it. I love it. Good stuff. More with Sam McKeown coming up on the other side of this break. Executive coach Sam McKeown, Alive and at Peace coaching, coming up. More with Sam. We're going to talk about the other tips that he has for business owners. We're going to finish this top 5 list here coming up. More with Sam McKeown. Also, follow us online. We'd love to connect with you. On our YouTube channel, we're almost to a monumental number. So if you could go to YouTube and subscribe to the channel, that would mean the world to us. Go to YouTube, Brandon Rhymes Realty, and you'll see legacy content, all these different videos from attorneys, CPAs, financial advisors, all types of great expert contributors, Buccaneer football players, politicians, all types of great people on there. YouTube.com/Brandon Rhymes Realty. We'll be right back. Consumer Quarterback Show, ConsumerQB.com.
Hey, this is Grant Cardone, and you've been listening to the phenomenal Brandon Rhymes, the Consumer Quarterback Show.
Thank you so much for spending some time with us. We had an uptick in calls last week. People are submitting forms on the website, too. I really appreciate that. Listeners are submitting forms at ConsumerQB.com. They're coming right through. Hooked up one of our listeners with Thomas Yunk from Cons Helping Cons. She had a friend that was coming out of the prison system and wanted to get hooked up into a good proven model. Cons Helping Cons helps a lot of people with the recidivism rate. So thank you so much. ConsumerQB.com. A lot of calls, folks wanting to find out more about the mortgage side, refinancing, and of course, calls on our listings. We greatly appreciate that as well. We got a hot listing here, 13906 Bardmore Place. This is Unit B. We got Unit B here in Tampa. This is a beautiful townhome, just a complete remodel, 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bath, 1-car garage, almost 2,100 square feet of living space, hurricane impact windows throughout. Updated kitchen, stainless steel appliances, gorgeous property. You got to see this one to really get a good feel for it. Just under $500,000, beautiful property. Just at a price reduction of $20,000 as well. Owner is motivated. 5-bedroom. 5-person jacuzzi tub, that is. Banana trees, avocado trees, bear fruit coming up ripe in August as well. So 13906 Bardmore Place, Unit B in Tampa. One of our hot listings from the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. All right, we got a $12 million listing. This one's Heaton Forest. This is kind of works where you have this worldwide network with Keller Williams. We got 180,000 plus agents worldwide. And I got my good friend Bill DeVore up in North Carolina. He's got this listing, taking care of this listing for us. 530 Heaton Forest Road, Cashiers, North Carolina. KW Professionals Realty, KW Luxury Division, Bill DeVore's team. 11 bedrooms, 10 baths, 10,000 square feet. And this is a gorgeous estate-style property. You're on, I believe it's over 20 acres of land here as well. Beautiful property, 2 different homes. 530 Heaton Forest Road, Cashiers, North Carolina. 11 bedrooms, 10 bath, 10,000 square feet. Another one of the luxury listings from one of our associates up in North Carolina. You can see all of our listings online, PlatinumCoastalElite.com. Check us out, PlatinumCoastalElite.com.
This is God's country.
All right, Sam, we just got just a few minutes here to get through these other tips. So back to you. Top tips for business owners.
Yep. Real quick, the last 2, remain focused.
Okay.
So often as business people, we lose focus. We get, business gets in the way. People get in the way, and we go back to what are our goals? What are we trying to attain? Are we being strategic about it? We need to remain focused. And that's tough for some people, especially my personality.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The last point I wanted to... So it's rejoice and revise. So you look at you made mistakes, okay?
Right.
You can't change those, but you take a look at what you were successful at. Rejoice about it. You praise. If we give glory and we give praise to where it's due, then there's a return, okay? And so you look at it. You say, okay, this went great. This went great. Hey, you did a good job over here. You did a good job over here. What do we need to do to revise what went wrong?
Yes.
What do we need to do to fix what went wrong? I hate to use the word fix, but it needs to be revised. There needs to be a change. So that goes back to what's the goal? How do we stay focused? Are we being strategic with it?
Yeah.
So to me, that last one, that rejoice and revise, is very, very important. And most people don't do it.
It's kind of like celebrate, right?
Yes.
You hit a goal. You made this amazing achievement. Let's celebrate. Let's enjoy it. Let's get together as a team. Let's bring all the partners. Let's bring in all of the people that contributed to our success and say, hey, let's celebrate. Let's party.
Yes. And it's one thing that a lot of business owners don't do. When I managed for large corporations, managed restaurants and bars and stuff like that for large corporations, I used to get in trouble because I posted our numbers because this is what we did.
Yeah.
The corporation didn't have anything to do with that. Oh, did they provide marketing and advertising? Yeah, fine. But they weren't in the small towns that I managed in.
Right.
So you guys did this. Managers, you did this. Cooks, chefs, servers, bartenders, you did this. Not me.
Collective.
I just coordinate the deal,
Yeah.
And so they need to know.
Yeah.
And they need to know when we had a good month, when we had a bad month. What can we do to adjust? What worked, what didn't.
Yeah.
And a lot of managers won't, a lot of business people won't do that. Their bartenders have no clue as to what kind of business they're doing and what's going on with the margins.
Right. Exactly. The margins, that's a big deal for the restaurant industry.
Yeah. And I mean, end of the day, 3% is what the owner's looking at taking home.
Wow.
And that's not very much.
Yeah, it's not. Executive Coach Sam Mckeown, Alive and at Peace Coaching. How do you want people to connect with you, Sam?
There's a couple ways. They can call me at 813-379-9008. That's 813-379-9008. Or Sam at aliveandatpeace.com.
aliveandatpeace.com.
Yep.
Sam at aliveandatpeace.com. All right, good stuff. Hey, we covered the top 5 tips. I like that. That's a good roundup of some top ideas for business owners. And it's tough today because you have not only the business you're in, but you've got social media, you got internet, you got all these different things pulling you now.
Yes.
So, Sam, always a pleasure visiting with you.
Well, thanks for having me, Brandon. You have an awesome day.
Thanks a lot. Likewise. All right. And another great segment there. Sound of Freedom. Check it out, folks, if you haven't seen that movie. Really, really worth the view. And I know they're going to appreciate that. All the kids it's going to help the kids as well. Coming up, CPA Dwayne Bischoff and Associates here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Make sure you check us out online, consumerqb.com, and follow us on social at BrandonRhymes1, at CQB Show, and we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Thanks for listening to My Daddy's Show. Please make sure to send him all of your real estate deals and subscribe to the Consumer Quarterback Show podcast on iTunes and Spotify, or check out our YouTube channel. Have a blessed day.
Together.